I'm here today with John Conoley, Executive Chairman at Fireangel, who's going to talk us through his interim results and a little bit more about Fireangel. John, good to be here with you.
It's great to have you.
Can you tell me who are Fireangel?
Fireangel is a domestic alarm company, which means we create heat, smoke and CO alarms for the domestic market, primarily in the UK and Europe, although also slightly further afield. From a manufacturing point of view, we've long manufactured in China and more recently also in Poland. And we have our own important factory in Canada where we make CO sensors. We're based in Coventry in the UK, which is where a lot of our higher value activities take place, such as firmware development and design. And in that, you get a sense of the journey of the company, which is from being an alarm company that has made and shipped about 50 million alarms in its history, through to being more of a technology company, very much focused on how to exploit the Internet of Things.
So can you talk us through the interim results?
Well, as you saw, there are lots. There's a lot of moving parts. We entered the year really strongly, which is why it's a shame. We had really good revenue and margin progression, and that came on top of a great second half last year where we grew the company significantly. And then, of course, COVID, which has driven a very negative effect into the company, different by each sector. So the effect from late March onwards is that obviously retail became a significant challenge for us due to the lack of footfall, the lack of ability to access stores. In trade, where we have lots of maintenance contractors or electrical contractors, building workers who are installing our alarms, then they haven't had access to property either, and there were lockdowns across all of our international sector at different types and to different strengths as well. So the impact was pretty marked. However, more recently, there's been an encouraging recovery. So, for example, with retail, there's been that typical shift to more online sales that we've seen in other sectors. And our online sales out, that is from the retail partner onto their customers, not from us into the stock of a retailer, is up 50% year on year. And that's about a quarter to a third of our sales through retail. So that's really encouraging. And obviously the footfall has come back very significantly. When it comes to trade, each month that goes by, we are seeing more and more inquiries, more and more demand as people are able to access properties again, which is great. And it's particularly good for the social housing sector, which is a key part of our opportunity. So currently things are encouraging. We have not offered guidance on the year because of just the current uncertainty of government policy. However, we should see a strong recovery. Our second half is typically the stronger half, much better, much more of a weighting of sales. And there is also a gearing effect. The reduction in revenue really does cause a marked reduction in gross margin, but as revenue recovers, we should see a rebound in gross margin.
So operationally, what are the strengths and weaknesses for the period?
Well, you'll notice our stock went up, which we had been previously very proud of driving it down, however. But that's because we have to schedule production many months in advance. So really that was just a symptom of forecasting we were doing in our very strong period of sort of January, February, March. We would expect that to unwind by year end. In addition to that, we had a wide-ranging operational improvement program, which we carried on with, but which will deliver fewer benefits in the current year than we expected, really because of COVID-style delays. However, that will probably deliver a $500,000 of gross profit benefit in the year, although it'd be hard to sort of really pick it out. But if I gave you some of the sorts of examples, we had a wide-ranging review of packaging. and that will probably find us a couple of 100,000 in the current year. But in a typical full year, probably more like 300, 400,000 pounds would be the benefit, because we've moved from PET or plastic style much more towards cardboard, which is cheaper and it's easier to manufacture and it's easier to handle. Another area we focused on during the lockdown, which we did make progress on, again, we'll get more of an effect if the revenue growth gives us some gearing, is we entered the lockdown with about 220 SKUs, stock keeping units, or basically product lines. We needed to reduce that because there was too much overlap, which leads to even more stock holding. So we took that down already to about 170. That, with a few alterations and kind of rebrands, that may normalise to more like 180 as a sort of net figure. However, that will carry on trending down, and already some of the salespeople say that's making their job easier. That kind of low level efficiency of day-to-day work. But the key thing is it should enable us to have an extra downward pressure on stock in the short, medium and long term. So that's very valuable. When looking at our results, the complicators, of course, are government COVID policy, but also our own relatively complex financial commentary, as we've sought to address historical stock issues and as we've written down the value of intangibles. However, as that gets swept away, and it has been swept away particularly at full year 19, then our results should become much cleaner, much easier to understand, and then the focus can move to the actual positive story that we made a lot of investment over the last few years in differentiated products, and we expect to see real traction there.
So where's Fireangel at in its evolution?
Well, it had a number of years of really strong success, but the most recent years were dominated by much more troubled times. For example, there was a serious warranty issue which really did knock the company back, which we swept through over the last couple of years, and particularly at the end of full year 19. And also, for example, a very challenging factory move from China to Poland. Again, that sent the company into a very flat or backwards period. However, we believe all of that's behind us. The thing that the company really did well in those troubled times is it stuck to its guns in terms of its new product investment. And it now has newer products that are quite visionary, and where we expect there to be a significant opportunity for revenue and margin growth.
So can you talk us through some of those new products?
Well, traditionally the alarm marketplace was alarms. You bought standalone alarms and fitted them. There's been a trend in very recent years towards connected alarms, and that's supported by legislative change. And so we've been on that journey. We make standalone alarms. We also make connected alarms, and we're a leading player in that emerging space. On top of that, we have also created our own software with our own algorithm, because one of the key things about fire is normally it doesn't just happen. There's normally a set of precursor events that if you can sample the data from the alarms, then you can start to predict that a fire is likely, and that enables an intervention. So this company knows a lot about fire and smoke and CO. We're the trusted partner of 90% of the UK's fire and rescue services, and in that long and close association, we really have developed our expertise. And so our understanding of what can lead up to an incident, a domestic fire or other incident, CO incident, is very strong. And Predict, which is the name of our algorithm that enables you to sample data and generate a risk alert, is the product of that long expertise. As we say, a fire doesn't just happen. It's not just an accident quite often. There's normally a pattern that builds up to it. And we already have examples of where an intervention has been made because of seeing those predictive events, being able to sample them and then act on them. So the key is we've gone from alarms, which is a kind of scientific device hardware, to the fact that one of our key activities here in Coventry is around firmware, it's around cloud, and it's around data. This is not the traditional way we look at alarms. So in summary, there's two areas where you can see our technology really emerging. Obviously in the consumer area, but the bigger opportunity is in social housing. One of the key highlights of the first half is our very large order with a London Borough Council for £1 million. And we're all used to going to a DIY store, for example, and spending £10 or £20 or £50 on an alarm or a couple of alarms. £1 million order for alarms, that contrast gives you the idea. And that will cover a few thousand properties with half a dozen devices each. There will also be a gateway which enables the event data from the alarms to be drawn to a management console. And this is probably the largest domestic Internet of Things rollouts in the UK, or one of the largest. So it's a totally different world from alarms, and it gives you the idea of us moving from being an alarm company through to being much more of a technology company, and that is the future of this company. And therefore you see the importance of us restoring that momentum we had at the start of the year. We're in conversation with a lot of social housing landlords. They all have different pressures, different things going on. They've all been slowed down in all their own plans by COVID, and we're not their only priority. But those conversations are restarting, and it's up to us to now turn that into the type of momentum we felt we had at the start of the year when we had a building pipeline. And our products are unique in the marketplace today. We need to really exploit that window.
So what should investors expect going forward?
Well, we have differentiated products in a market with particular regulatory and positive social drivers. And these products are particularly suited to the social housing market, where landlords are subject to an increasing range of challenging compliance and regulatory pressures. Our products particularly assist in the tasks that these landlords have to deal with. Underlying that, we also have a range of operational improvements. I think I said earlier that we hope to give ourselves about a £500,000 benefit to gross profit in the current year. But in a typical year going forward, that should be at least £1 million. And therefore, there's a mix here of positive opportunity for revenue growth, which gives us more gearing through a better mix as well of product types, particularly in social housing. And in addition, we get better gearing on our operational improvements. The more we sell, the more benefit those will actually give us. So there's a really great mix. And crucially, the opportunity for us is undiminished. Many industries have been knocked sideways by this into the medium or even long term. For us, the opportunity is undiminished because the pressures to do with safety, with clients, with compliance, and with fire, those pressures do not go away. And so the evidence that investors should look for are Fireangel securing more rollout type wins across 2021 and onwards, and also that gross margin progression, real evidence that we are absolutely exploiting the opportunity that we have got. So we're feeling very confident about the future. We need to just crack on and restart the momentum across the rest of this year going into next year. And I'll say again that the opportunity for us is undiminished. It's right in front of us.
John, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tamsin.